Tyler from Aspire Sports. Today's video, we're going to talk about the ever so polarizing here Madden ratings that a lot of people have their own opinion on. And of course, here at Aspire Sports, we're going to talk about our own opinions on this matter as well. Today, I'm joined with Giggs, and first time on the show. He was on it last week, but the file didn't save; it was corrupted. But anyways, we have a first time guest here, and our boy Pitsy. He's a longtime friend of the show, longtime friend of ours. So, what's up, dudes? How you guys doing today?
Doing all right, man. Just getting ready for football season.
Doing great.
We appreciate you coming on the show, Pitsy. Thanks for coming on, dude.
No problem.
So, I guess what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of open this up, and we're gonna talk about some of them that are a bit crazy. I mean, the Madden ratings sometimes are just so stupid. Like when you look at these and you think, like, what the hell were they thinking? I mean, I'll start real quick. I'll go first. So my first one for me, the first one that I saw that really stuck out was the running back rankings. It wasn't because they had like two different pictures. The one with the top 10 and then like the top 20, I believe, is what they did. So like the 11 through 10, you have Jonathan Taylor is currently behind Marlon Mack. To me, that makes absolutely no sense. And I guess it kind of makes sense in the sense that Marlon Mack was a decent player in his career, okay? But unfortunately, he tore his Achilles. He's not going to be the same player. So going into this season, is Jonathan Taylor going to be a better player than Marlon Mack? Absolutely. Jonathan Taylor is a better receiver than Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack's somebody who's never really had a whole lot of, I guess he had Naheem Hines, but he hasn't had a whole lot of work in terms of catching balls. So Jonathan Taylor's better than that. Jonathan Taylor is also one of the best prospects to come out in most recent history. The biggest knock on him was just his workload, but the dude is absolutely a beast and is better than Marlon Mack. So to me, that was insane that Jonathan Taylor was behind Marlon Mack. So I'm going to kick it off to Giggs. What was one or a couple that you thought was just a bit crazy?
Well, I got one that's too high and one that's too low. So I'll start with the one I think it was too low, and that's A.J. Brown. And the internet's already got a hold of that one. But they have him ranked as the number 20 overall wide receiver. I think his overall rating was, 86. They have him below Tyler Lockett, and they have him below Robbie Anderson. And that's not a knock on those two guys, but I think it's pretty clear that A.J. Brown is a better talent than both of them. And I know you have to think about it as like, is this guy that good? Or are we looking at just fantasy? Like, because when you take someone top 10 in fantasy, they might not be top 10 at their position. Right. They're just getting enough volume and everything that makes them worth that pick. Well, I don't think that's the case here. I think A.J. Brown being a top 10 fantasy option at wide receiver and is arguably a top 10, maybe top 15 talent. I think it's just criminal that they have him ranked at 86. And I don't know where they get off doing that. I don't know if it was because of a couple injuries or whatnot. But to your point, they got Marlon Mack at 84. He missed the whole season last year. So if injuries play a factor, it makes no sense why they're doing A.J. Brown like this. And then for the guy who I think was ranked too high, I'll keep it in running back. Philip Lindsay. They have him as the 21st overall running back. They have him ranked at the same overall as Jonathan Taylor at 83. They have Antonio Gibson, Cam Akers, and David Montgomery underneath Philip Lindsay.
Really?
Yeah, it's just sad. Dumb. I just don't understand like who makes these rankings. It has to be some guy who lives in Colorado who watched Philip Lindsay play since high school or grade school. He's like, I got you, bud. Don't worry. I mean, he could have a good year in Houston, but to think that he's ranked as a top 21 RB in this game is just, it's disgusting.
No, agreed. Brian, what about you? Looking at some of these, what are the biggest ones that you, whether guys too low or too high?
So I'll get one that kind of a little bit both guys are on the same team. Odell Beckham at an 89 and Jarvis Landry at an 84. I find that interesting compared with their production the last year. I understand Beckham got hurt, and I understand Jarvis did not, or stayed healthy for most of the year. I just think that discrepancy. Beckham at 89 is above guys like Calvin Ridley. In the game, he's going to be equal to DK Metcalf. I just think for where he's at and what he's shown since he's come to Cleveland, he's a step behind those kind of guys. So I'd say more in the 86ish range, and I'd put Jarvis Landry right there with him.
No, I agree with that. I think, and I talked about this in an earlier video, but Odell Beckham's living off of hype from years ago. He's not the same player like after his injuries, and he's not going to be the same player this upcoming season unless maybe he might be, but I just don't see it. But he's living off of hype from his first 3 years in the league that were absolutely like insane. Okay, the best numbers that we've ever seen from a young wide receiver ever. He's living off that hype, and since he's been in Cleveland, he has not been the same player. He's not nearly as efficient as he once was as well, so some of it might have to do with quarterback play, but he just has not been the same player, so I do agree with that. Some of these guys, and that's the problem with Madden, is that they live on hype, like for a lot of guys. Like they'll be good for a long time, and Madden just won't lower the ratings because it's, like Julio Jones or somebody like that. I'm sure will constantly stay up there as one of the best wide receivers. Where, like AB, they lowered him, okay? They lowered him down. It's time to take some of these guys that are older in their career. They're not as good as what they once were, and take these young guys like your A.J. Brown, who's one of the better wide receivers in the NFL right now, and put him back where he needs to be. So that's what Madden does. And also Madden, like Tyler said, there's a guy living in Colorado who's just looking at these and he's like, holy shit, okay. Basing off of fantasy stats sometimes, oh wait, this guy's, how good is he? I don't know what that actually goes into the shit sometimes. So
Yeah, I would say if you were to just look at production on a year-to-year basis, like, wouldn't that make Christian McCaffrey not number one RB? Like if you're going to put those things into account, shouldn't it be Derrick Henry as the number one running back this year? Like it really is, like you said, it's all about the hype train. And if they want to go based on what they're seeing for fantasy projections to kind of help, I don't understand why they have Devin Funches higher than Jamar Chase. Who the hell thinks Devin Funches is going to have a better year than Jamar Chase? How the hell do they have, like Cole Beasley is the same overall as A.J. Brown? This stuff doesn't make sense. Madden's just the franchise. It's falling apart. It's not nearly as good as it used to be. And one place where they could start fixing that or try to get better is these overall rankings. I mean, they even release it early for everyone to just tear him a new one. Like everybody's having a field day with Madden right now.
Do you feel like they do that sometimes though to get the publicity of this, have people talk about it? I do feel like that as well. Like a lot of people are definitely talking about it because you do look at some of them. I love Justin Jefferson. I think he's going to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL in a couple of years. But he shouldn't be that much higher than AJ. Well, he should be right there with AJ Brown. They should actually be the same rating, or AJ Brown even like a little bit higher because he's proved it for a little bit longer. Like it is tough to sit there for Madden and to like try to think of, okay, do we include what this person once was, or do we just go off of last year? Like how exactly do we do this? Do we look at this year? So it is tough from that standpoint. But if you just look at people's productions and forecast them, like definitely like one of them, like you said, AJ Brown and Jonathan Taylor to me just sticks out the most. Like the fact that you have Marlon Mack just makes no sense. It makes no sense. What the hell? Like, do you watch football? Like sometimes it makes you wonder, like, do they honestly watch football? Like it makes no sense. So
the answer is no.
Anybody else that you want to talk about real quick? Yeah, shit, look at that. I mean, Calvin Ridley, he's going to be a
Kyler Murray at 82 is way too low.
Yeah. That's a good one.
They value speed and stuff like that. Like you think of a guy back in the day, like Michael Vick in Madden was a cheat code, and Lamar Jackson, I mean, has kind of gotten to that way. But I think Kyler probably has a better. I mean, actually, I know Kyler has a better arm than Lamar Jackson does, and I think he's got the quick twitch, and he's just as fast, if not faster, than Lamar is at this point. So I mean, I would the difference between those two shouldn't be that much in the game, in my opinion.
No, and he's behind guys like Baker Mayfield, Matt Ryan, like even
Mhm.
Ryan Tannehill. Like I like these guys, but over the past 2 years, especially last year, like the dude was so damn good, and he just got hurt, and that was the problem. That's why he fell off. But like, and to talk about quarterbacks, like let's talk about Trevor Lawrence right now. Like Trevor Lawrence is a 78. He's ahead of guys like Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, which, I mean, sure, whatever, Jared Goff, but right there with Ben Roethlisberger, one behind Kirk Cousins, two behind Justin Herbert, like. Why I get it, he's the first overall quarterback in the draft, but at the same time, like if you're gonna rank other guys a little bit lower, especially the incoming rookies, like they definitely should be high, like lower than some of these other guys who are proven in the NFL and are good year in and year out. Like Kirk Cousins, he gets a lot of shit, but the dude actually puts up decent numbers every single year. Like I don't know. And Justin Herbert had a phenomenal rookie season, so he's that low. I don't know. It's tough. It is tough, but sometimes they do make some dumb ass rankings. Any other ones you guys want to talk about?
Josh Jacobs ranked over Zeke. What do you guys say to that?
It
Yeah.
is true.
That's
Well, that's another player he gets a bunch of hate too, Zeke, because he had one bad year. Like one bad year when his whole team is hurt. Like what the hell do you expect? He's been constantly better than Josh Jacobs for years, and last year he was better than Josh Jacobs. It's not even like Josh Jacobs was better than him last year. Josh Jacobs averaged what, like 3.8 yards per carry? He wasn't even good. The fuck? Makes no sense.
Someone needs fired at EA Sports. That's all I know.
Well, at this point, it's probably still all about they still have Ultimate Team, don't they?
Yeah, it's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
That's all they care about
So they
anymore.
get
That's
money.
why Madden just has gone. For me, I don't even buy it. I used to buy it every single year. Now, like once that thing, they became like their main focus, and I was just like, fuck Madden. Like Madden's not what I used to at all. It used to be the shit back in the day. Like the early Maddens, dude, those were so good. Now it's
Madden 05 when they had the hit stick for the first time. Ray Lewis on the front.
I remember
That's probably
buying
my
it.
all-time favorite.
I don't even remember what Madden it was, but it was the first one for the PlayStation 2 where you go from the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 2. Like, I'll never forget those graphics. I got it on Christmas. It was like I was watching real-life football. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. I'll never forget that. I love. And those early Maddens, you had some bomb-ass soundtracks as well. Like with the early Maddens. Those were so damn good.
for sure.
And
You need to get NFL Street.
NFL Street. It was,
NFL Street was great.
that shit was
Ricky
awesome,
Williams
too.
running on the walls, stoned
Nothing
out of
will
his
beat
mind.
NBA Street though. That shit was the best.
That's right.
NBA Street was.
True.
So, anything else before we shut it down?
No, EA, fix your game. That's all I gotta say.
Yes.
Don't
fix
buy
it down.
Madden.
Really, I mean that's what it has come down to. Like people gotta stop buying Madden. They'll make a better product because it's not good anymore. Simple. It's a simple truth. So, with that being said, thank you all for watching. We'll be back next time. See ya.